automatic doggy door, we went with a 4-bar linkage design operated by a 16 RPM 8 Newton meter motor. It actuates this wheel, it does a full cycle, and transmits a force through the link 3 to the door. As it rotates, it brings the door up to about a 90-degree angle and then lowers it back down the other side.
Here is some 3D modeling of the design. Here you can see a 3D model of the design in motion. Here you can see a 3D exploded view of the design. Some engineering requirements for when prototyping the design were that the door had to be able to open in 2 to 3 seconds. It must have a mechanism that has the capability to open a 5-pound door, and the door must be 10 inches by 16 inches. The door should work from the inside and outside, and it should also be able to close the door after a set amount of time. The door should also be able to be activated with 2 push buttons, one for the inside and one for the outside. We concluded that the door takes 9 seconds to open and 3 to close due to a lack of power to the motor and increased friction due to the material used, which was plywood. The mechanism has an ability to lift up to the 5-pound requirement. The size criteria of the door was also met, and currently our design works with the push of a singular button, and the door is set to close after a set amount of time.
At Puppy Dough Co., 2 of our 3 designs were not followed through. The first of which was a scissor lifting mechanism. This was not followed through because of the multiple different parts that had to be manufactured carefully. For the dog door purpose, we wanted it to be cheap and simple. Therefore, having several different parts that had to be manufactured carefully would prove to be very costly. Therefore, it wasn't followed through. The second design was a worm gear. The problems associated with having a worm gear is that finding and creating a worm gear can be difficult, as it has different processes. But the pro to this is that it is good for locking purposes, as it will self-lock. But another con is that it can prove to be expensive.
During the prototyping process, there were several improvements made. The majority of them came with the pins. We started with nails. The cross-sectional area was too small and dug into the wood, so we moved up to a larger size. We initially started with 3D printed material. Shear stress was too great and snapped them off, so then we ended up with steel dowels. The other improvement was we were also 3D printing this connector. It sheared off the inside with the motor, so then we cut out a piece of aluminum to use instead. During manufacturing, there were a few other improvements we should make. The main one being using plastic or aluminum instead of this wood because of the wear factor. This wood can't take much because it wears out very quickly. Second one is we would change this connector profile. This would be very hard to manufacture. Maybe switch to a square or a triangle. We'd also use bearings on each one of these pins to help limit that wear factor and improve the lifespan of the machine. And we actually aren't using the recommended battery power input, so that would also be a needed improvement.
Let's look at some of the competition our dog door has. If you search on Amazon for an automatic dog door opener, you get a few different types of dog doors that are available. First, looking at the PetSafe electronic smart door. This door unlocks based on how close your dog is because it has a sensor in the dog's collar to detect it. The door unlocks and allows your dog to walk inside. This isn't exactly automatic because the door doesn't open on its own, it just unlocks. And the price range is around $100 to $150. Next is the high-tech Pet Power electronic pet door. This is similar in that a chip on the dog's collar allows the dog to go inside, but it is fully automatic. The door opens and allows your dog to enter freely. This door is much pricier, starting at $300 and going up from there. Lastly, there's the SureFlap microchip pet door, which is a very, very small door that only allows dogs about the size of a dachshund to go through. This door is $250. This is very high for a door this size, and so it's very expensive and is not optimal compared to its other competitors.